We're here to talk about yet another victim, this 93 Ford Mustang GT. This car has quite a history. It's got 79,000 original miles on it, and it's pretty much all there. I mean, missing a few headlights. It's got four wheels. It's got a windshield. Maybe not all there. I got this car from a guy in northern Arizona who purchased it from a guy in California. And I am in the process of correcting quite a bit of damage that was done by the previous residents, four-legged residents that is, who decided to tear through all the wiring in the car. This car sat for about 15 years, when it got here, it was trailered in. The guy I bought it from pulled it off his trailer and fired it right up. Of course, it was in bad shape. I've spent some time on this car rebuilding most of the internals. And now I'm working on wiring and that kind of thing. Doing a wiring series on this. Bought a wiring kit and have quite a bit of headache with that. And we'll go into more detail in these videos about how that's going and some of the decisions I'm making that are contrary to what that kit would recommend. So what I've done to the car mostly is just replace hoses, belts, put an electric fan in it, new EGR spacer, 70mm throttle body, cold air intake. It's got a bump steer kit on it after I had to replace the entire steering rack. It's got a new starter in it, a new clutch, flywheel, which still got issues going on. I don't know. Once we get it running, I'll have you guys hear it. There's definitely a chirp in there, and I don't know whether it's got something to do with the flywheel. I don't know. Rear main seal, throwout bearing, or something. So we'll get into that later. There's a lot of work still needs to be done on this car. You can see a lot of trims missing, so I'm gonna have to fix that. For the most part, the paint is in really good shape. No real issues with paint. I do think this is a respray because the door locks are painted the same as the body color. And there's some issues where somebody got creative. I don't think you can see it, but on the roof here somewhere are the initials of someone. So I think I'm going to paint it a different color. Let me know what color you guys think this should be, and then we'll go from there. I did do quite a bit of trim on this. New windshield trim, new weather stripping. So all the weather stripping's been replaced because this was all chewed through. This car is rather unique. It's like I said, it's got 79,000 miles on it, and when I bought it, the guy who sold it to me basically sold it with probably three cars worth of parts to go with it, including GT40 heads. I don't know if I'm going to go that route. This might end up being a swap. I don't know yet. Like I said, there's no rust on the car. Outside of that, Well, there's going to be a lot of videos on this, and we'll get into more of the restoration as I move through it. So if you guys have comments about what I should do or things I should look out for, remember, I'm not a mechanic. I am not an electrician. I'm hoping to make a lot of mistakes and learn from those mistakes. If there's things for me to look out for, guys, just let me know in the comment section. Go ahead and like and subscribe this video, and there'll be more to come. Welcome to beautiful, sunny Arizona. Yeah. Where the temperature is currently 56 degrees. Supposed to rain all day. 49 degrees. My mistake. Got up at 4:45 this morning, and that was chilly. Okay, so wiring the headlights now. I put together this wiring harness last night. It's not totally complete yet, but I took off the wiring harness that came with the kit, which is the female version of this, and replaced it with this waterproof connector from a kit I got off of Amazon. So far I've been using a lot of these connectors instead of the ones that came with the kit because these aren't waterproof, and they don't hold wires at all. So when you try to connect this male into the female side, the female pins just pull right out, and sometimes you don't even know. So when you go to test it, you'll notice that it's not working, and you come to find out one of the females isn't actually connected to one of these male sides. So as I said, I found this kit on Amazon. These are waterproof. Each individual line has you can put a waterproof shroud on it before you actually put it into the harness. They're not hard to do. I do wish that they would make one that has a larger gauge. I think this goes down to 10 gauge. But in some instances with this kit, you have to run 2 wires. And even with a step down connector, you can't really fit 2 wires in there. I don't really like to splice them. I did kind of find this solution here, which is a 3-way. I don't really like it, but for right now, it's what I'm going to work with. Maybe down the road we'll switch this out for an alternative. But these 3-way clips you can find these everywhere. They just latch in. They're bulky, and that's what I don't like about them. I was able to get this one on a step down and had that heat shrinked in here so that it's waterproof. This is one of the harnesses for one of the headlights, and then there's another one down there. I will probably, once I get this all put in, I'm going to clean it up quite a bit. But for right now, I'm just kind of go through a soft wiring just to see how everything fits. Again, I am not a mechanic. I am not an electrician. There's definitely 100 better ways to do this than what I'm doing. But since I've started this project, I've learned quite a bit. There's still more to learn. But so far, the kit, I'm not too happy with it considering how much I paid for it. The one benefit to this kit is, as I've mentioned before, most of these wires are all labeled. So you don't have to, get the heat shrink that has you can use a label maker to put your labels on them. This way you know what each wire is going to. So that's beneficial. I do like that component of the wiring kit. The instructions were somewhat good. I would say that the problem with the instructions is that they give you a lot of images but not a ton of context. And I'm a picture instruction guy. I'm actually a video instruction guy. But you know, I wouldn't have succeeded in this kit had it just been nothing but writing and writing and writing. But they just give you images and not a lot of context, and so sometimes there's like circular references in the instructions where it'll tell you wires. You know, you look on page 13 and it says see page 18, and you go to page 18 and it says see page 13, and so you end up in this circular reference. So what I'm doing right now is I've got that connector going through the firewall. This is to run the headlights. This was the harness that I cut off for that. This is a 6-pin connector with 8 wires going into it. So I got to double up on the turn signals, since obviously you got ones on each side that are going to be for lights and turn signals. So what I'm going to do for those is I found these by Anchor. I think it's the name of it. Again, on Amazon. These are not cheap. These are step-down connectors. You run 2 lines into this end, and you run the third one out. So I've tested these on the actual harness itself, and they work pretty well. They do have built-in heat shrink, which I like, but I do put heat shrink over this too, as a double measure of coverage. So anyways, we're gonna get started on that. Okay, so one of the things I noticed with this kit is these connectors that came with the kit did not hold the wires very well, and also they don't really have any kind of waterproofing in them. And so I decided to pick up this kit off Amazon. I've used similar connectors in the past, and these seem to work pretty well. I usually buy the pre-built ones with the wires connected, but these you can build yourself. They have a rubber sleeve that goes over the wire and helps with waterproofing. They have the same kind of waterproofing on each connection. Essentially, you have male and female connectors in here, and as you add these to the wire, you can see these come in singles, doubles, 3-point, 4-point, and I think 5 and 6 as well. So multiple different applications. The only thing I'm concerned about with this kit is that I don't know how well it's going to work with specific gauges. I think this will go as low as 14, but I know I probably have some 12s in this car. But anyways, we're going to give this a try and see how it works out. Make a lot of mistakes and probably get a lot of comments in the comments section, so we'll see. So this is the actual harness for the headlight cluster, turn signal, fog lamps, all of it's right here. I switched these connectors as well because they were, again, having all kinds of problems. And I need to zip tie this together so it doesn't continue to get tangled, but for right now I'm just going to soft connect it and then see what we get. I'll have to connect grounds and then we'll go from there. Alright, so the goal today is to get the headlight wires through the fender well right down there, and the hope is that we can get them in out this area here, and then they'll come into the headlight. In order to do that, I am going to have to take off this inner fender well cover, and I think it's just Phillips heads. I think it's a 2-section piece in there, and I'm going to try to get that out and see if we have access to inside of the fender well. I don't know how I have this much dog hair in the garage. It's ridiculous. Alright, so I got it fed through here. Now, I just gotta get, that's not what I'm looking for. There we go. I gotta feed this through here. What in the world was I doing? Just use violence if it doesn't work. Yeah, violence. Let's see. Anybody see a flashlight around here? Well, that does me. You got a wire in the horn. Who needs a horn? I don't remember the last time I ever honked it. So I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Wiring a vehicle is very simple. You have power, ground, and a switch. It's not easy. Simple, but not easy. So go into it with that in mind. Don't expect for it to be done in a day. I mean, unless you're really good at it, which I'm not. I know what you're all thinking. Why is he wearing this in white pants? It's a great question. If any of you know, please enlighten me. That's cracked now. Look at that. This one's already cracked. But I didn't drop it. It came that way. Buy a box body, they said. It'll be fun. Just shove it in there. Just stuff it and continue to stuff until you don't see it anymore. And then that'll work. Nobody will even know about my sins unless they take this car apart. Well, you guys will. You guys will know. Like the 15 different colored zip ties I've used. I don't like it. I don't want to go over the frame. I want to go under the frame. Ouch. Yeah, I'm going to have to cut this and then once it together because it's way too long. Look at this. This is madness. What? Oh, I spilled my drink all over the floor. Maybe it'll clean up some of the coolant. Alright, well I could cut it right there because that's the problem. Cut it after the zip tie. Yeah, like that. The answer to the question is you make do with what you got. Okay, when in doubt, hide it behind your radiator. How many fires do you think will start when I first turn this on? At least one. Okay, so got the headlights wired. As we talked about, have this wired and mounted to the sidewall here, the fender. And this is the Mega Fuse 175 amp. I'll give you a diagram of what that looks like. So this is the wiring diagram for the fuse block. And as you can see, it's running from the battery to the starter solenoid. So that cable should already exist. From the starter solenoid, it runs to the fuse block, which is a 6-gauge wire. You have a bridge that runs across the fuse block. That's this metal piece right here. You have 2 fuses that run across the block, and then you have the remaining 6-gauge wire that runs into the alternator. And then this is the main fuse panel feed. That's the 10-gauge wire coming from the firewall. This is your wiper motor. There's 2 connections there. They come through the firewall. And as I said, I routed most of this through the fender wall for the headlight harness. And then not ideal. All right, so these are what I'm talking about. Again, 3-way, right? And they're very effective because they have these plastic locks in them, and you can see I got waterproof gaskets in there. I mean, you can't get them out, but look how bulky this is. So we're gonna pull these out. I'm gonna test it on this one and see if we can get that non-insulated connector to run 2 of these lines and then out to the 3rd line. So let's see what happens. All right, so before, after. So now I got to go back and do all of these all over again. Now, again, I want to make sure it's very clear. These are really handy if you have the room to use them because they're reusable. Literally, you just lift these up, put your wire in, and then lock them down. And if you ever need to go back through and pull wires out,
don't have to worry about cutting anything. You just disconnect them right here. So good idea, probably just a different application. All right, question. How many of you use black wire for ground? And how many of you use green wire for ground? This kit had black for all ground. I know some people use green. Comment down below and let me know, green or black for ground. All right, so since this is the year of making do with what you got, so this is my ground wire, and what I had was just this really cheapo Walmart special terminal connector, blue Smurf thing. My goal is to get this onto this post here, but this is for a larger gauge wire than what I'm running on this ground wire. So what I like to do is take my smaller gauge wire and fold it it's hard to see, but yeah, and then run that into the terminal and crimp it to get better contact. If this is something you guys do, let me know. I know it's kind of the ghetto way of doing it, but like I said, it's the year of making do with what you got. Okay, so I am in the process of wiring the fog lights. I've got them both mounted, and I have the female connectors for them already wired in. I've decided to go with these again as opposed to the originals, just to create consistency across the entire wiring. These that came with the fog lights weren't bad, but these were actually wired into the fog lights when I bought the fog light kit. And these actually are a lot better than what came with the wiring kit from our American Auto Wire. So I am going to wire these in, and the goal is to take the wire that's coming out of the harness from the firewall and use this step down connector to run one line to the driver's side fog light and one line to the passenger side fog light. Probably a better way to do it, but if the lights come on, that's all I care about. I'll work on that and then give you an update. Alright, so got this fog light wired in.
So inside here is that step down connector. So right in there. And so one leads off down into the actual plug, and then one ground comes back and exits right here. And then this line, which as I think about it is probably way too short, will run to the passenger side. And then I'm going to feed this down towards the plug in the bottom and create more spaghetti up here in front that somebody else will have to deal with. So yeah, that's where we're at. Success. Fog lights are working. When I first turned it on and connected the battery, I didn't get any. I had headlights, parking lights, but no fog lights. So got the meter out and did not have any power at the firewall. And checked everything, went back through and started looking through fuses. Nothing was blown, but a few were not seated very well, so went through, made sure everything was seated, and then it came on. So but overall happy with the outcome.